Recently, the prequel of The Hunger Games has been released. Before watching the prequel, I also rewatched the original Hunger Games trilogy. I really miss my girl, the one and only Katniss Everdeen. While rewatching the original series, I thought about a movie starring Justin Timberlake and Amanda Seyfried. It also had an interesting concept, telling a story about social stratification and revolution. However, the movie received a very poor rating from Rotten Tomatoes. So let's take a look back at this movie and see if the Rotten Tomatoes rating was fair. In a future world, time has become the only currency, and everyone's genetic makeup is set to stop aging at 25. If the clock on their wrist hits 0, their life is over. So they have to constantly work to accumulate time. The people in the slums can only afford to live one more day and have to work every day just to survive. William and his mother are part of the slums. Today is his mother's 50th birthday, and he bought a bottle of champagne to celebrate. But they don't have much time left, so they have to work immediately. Before leaving, his mother gave William half an hour to eat. William rushed out. This is a habit of the poor, but prices have risen again, and even a cup of ordinary coffee takes 4 minutes. This makes William even more determined to work hard. Many people on the street bet all time they have, hoping for overnight riches, but the end result is often death on the roadside. People here are used to it, those people's bodies like the trash on the road, and no one pays attention. After work that night, William went to a bar to find a friend who was already drunk. He told William that a wealthy man with 100 years of time had come to the bar. His friend envied him for being able to buy drinks constantly. Out of kindness, William warned him that this is the slums and having so much time can be dangerous. But before he could finish his warning, thieves stormed in. Their target was the man with 100 years of time. In the end, William decided to help the wealthy man and escaped with him from the bathroom. They hid in a factory until the danger passed. William then started asking why the man had come from the rich district to the slums. He wondered if the man had grown tired of living for so long. The wealthy man told him that was indeed the case. Having too much time, he could no longer feel the meaning of life. He also told William a secret known only to the upper class. The prices in the slums kept rising because time resources are limited and the rich exploit the poor for eternal life. Later, the wealthy man asked a question, "What would you do if you had 100 years of time?" William looked down at his watch and said, "Then I wouldn't have to constantly watch the time." This statement touched the wealthy man's heart. They sat there and fell asleep. In the morning, the wealthy man quietly approached William and gave him over 100 years of time, leaving himself with only 5 minutes. He sat alone on the bridge, and in those 5 minutes, the world seemed to pause for him. The man felt an unprecedented sense of relief. As the sunlight poured down, he died. When William found out, it was too late, but he then found his friend because the friend had always helped his family. William directly gave him 10 years of time. He then bought a bouquet of flowers to give to his mother and waited at her bus stop as she finished work. However, fate enjoyed playing tricks on people. His mother had just paid off their housing loan and had only a little time left to go home. But today, the bus fare suddenly doubled, so she asked the people on the bus for help, but no one lifted a finger. The mother had no choice but to run back home. On the other side, William waited for the last bus, but his mother was nowhere to be seen. He realized something was wrong and began running towards his mother's workplace. The dimly lit street was empty, with only the two of them desperately running towards each other. However, time kept mercilessly passing by. His mother stopped just moments before they would have made contact, dying just a step away. Meanwhile, the police discovered the body of a wealthy man and found out that William had been at the scene of the crime. They suspected him. On the other hand, William decided to seek revenge against the wealthy people who set and enforced the time rules. He headed towards the affluent district. On his journey, he caught the attention of a girl who noticed his fast-paced lifestyle, cause wealthy people normally wouldn't rush to eat or go somewhere. William arrived at a luxurious casino and encountered a billionaire who possessed 9,000 years of time. With his calm thinking, William won the game and gained more than 1,000 years of time. It turned out the billionaire was a bank president. He admired his calmness and invited him to a party. The girl he met earlier turned out to be the bank president's daughter, Sylvia. To attend the evening's event, William bought a luxurious car with 60 years of time. At the party, Sylvia sought him out. She knew that William came from the slums but envied his freedom. Although they could live forever, but the timeless existence made them lose their desire to live. William didn't know how to explain, and the time enforcement agency arrived at the party, immediately questioning how he acquired his time. William truthfully revealed the truth, but they did not believe that because it was hard to imagine anyone would give up their eternal life, don't even mention to give that to a poor person. They deducted all of William's time, leaving him with only 2 hours due to procedural requirements. Unwilling to surrender, William resisted and took Sylvia hostage, escaping from the mansion in his expensive car and evading the police. However, they fell into a trap on their way to the slums. A group of time robbers approached them. Both of them passed out and the robbers took Sylvia's 1,000 years of time. When they woke up, they only had half an hour left and death was creeping closer. William desperately ran with Sylvia towards his friend's place, but his friend's wife tearfully confided that her husband, who had become rich overnight, used all of his time to buy alcohols and died. In the midst of their mixed emotions, they discovered Sylvia's earring, a valuable diamond. They immediately went to a jewelry store to sell it. After splitting the time between themselves, William decided to use Sylvia as a bargaining chip and called the bank president, demanding 1,000 years of time and instructing him to transfer it to a bank in the slums. However, the bank president hesitated, realizing that pouring so much time into the lower class would break the system they had built. Meanwhile, while waiting for the ransom, the two of them had a heartfelt conversation and grew closer. William's kind-hearted side emerged and he decided to distribute the stolen time. Sylvia also enjoyed this thrilling life, as they fell in love with each other during their time together. After finding out the bank president didn't transfer the time he demanded, William still let Sylvia go back home. They realized they might never see each other again. Sylvia left him with a deep kiss and immediately dialed her father's number, questioning his cold-heartedness. But a timekeeper suddenly arrived behind William, causing Sylvia to panic and shoot the timekeeper. Now, both Sylvia and William were criminals. They decided to rob the timekeeper's time. However, the timekeeper only carried a small amount of time since he came to the slums. William didn't take any and even gave him some time to escape. The two fugitives set off on their escape. After witnessing the injustice in society, Sylvia chose to rob the rich and help the poor alongside William, ensuring that the upper class faced their deserved consequences. The two of them armed themselves with the stolen time and, with Sylvia's familiarity with the streets, managed to acquire a lot of time from the time bank. Instead of keeping it for themselves, they shared the time with the poor, many of whom were displaced. William also donated time to the relief bank. As their crimes gained attention, the police started closing in on their location. That night, they played poker at a hotel while the police secretly approached. Fortunately, William remained vigilant and they escaped again by breaking through a window. With William's familiarity with the slums, they successfully evaded the police through rooftop alleys. However, their constant aid to the poor only led to higher prices in the slums as the upper class remained in control of the lower class's lives. No matter what they did, it seemed ineffective. Just as they were at a loss, Sylvia proposed an idea. They needed a massive amount of time to completely break the rules. Sylvia decided to rob her father's headquarters, where a significant portion of the world's time was stored. Sylvia pretended to surrender to her father while William acted as a security guard and took the bank president hostage. As expected, they found 1,000,000 years of time in the vault. Before they left, the bank president calmly told them,
"You might upset the balance for a generation. 2. But don't fool yourself, in the end nothing will change."
This seemed to anger William. He held the director at gunpoint, but in the end he didn't shoot him. On the other side, the police realized that William possessed a substantial amount of time and wouldn't let them return to the slums easily. When they reached the slums, William donated all of his time to the relief bank. Just as they were about to collect some backup time at their residence, the police intercepted them. Instead of panicking, they felt lucky because the police had to give them more time to arrest them. The police suddenly realized something at this moment. He looked down at his wrist, but it was already too late. Both of them knew there was a time storage in the police car. They immediately started running for their lives. William ran into the car first, got the time, and then got off quickly. He had to run towards Sylvia. At this time, Sylvia had already reached the countdown timer. Another intersection, and the loved one was one step away again. Their hands reached out to each other. In the end, William didn't repeat his mistakes. The two embraced excitedly in the beautiful sunset. On the other side, a large number of poor people now had time. They could afford the cost of entering the wealthy district. The division of class collapsed completely at this moment. However, no one knew when the next class distinction would reappear. This movie is a highly creative piece, although the setting inside doesn't stand up to scrutiny. But the exploration of the class divide through this setup is refreshing. It's just a shame that the film turned into an ordinary romance action movie. It could be something bigger. What are your thoughts on this movie? Please share in the comments.